Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to do an example to help you complete your linear equations project. Your linear equations project is going to be done through Kayak. You don't need an account. Just click on the link your teacher's given you and type in both your first and last name. Make sure you have both first and last to ensure that your teacher can actually grade your assignment. When you hit enter, this is what Kayak looks like. A little brief overview in case you've never used it before. It's something where you move at your own pace. We can see here there are 6 total slides. You can either jump to one or you can click on the arrow to move to the next. Another cool thing is every single slide is basically like a whiteboard. If we look at the top here, we have a list of tools, your pointer tool, pencil, highlighter, eraser, text box tool, and more. You can use those to answer and complete any questions on the screen. All right, let's get to it and create and complete an example that is similar to what you'll be doing for your own linear equations project. For this example, we're going to be talking about kayak rentals. So let's read our information, see what this kayak rental is all about. A local kayak company, Valley Springs, just opened for business. To rent a kayak, you pay $10 and $5.25 per hour rented. The linear equation y equals 5 and 25/100 x plus 10 when x equals hours rented and y equals total cost represents the scenario. Okay, so I see that we're given our background information and we've also already been told our equation and what our variables represent. I'm sure I'm going to need that later. Nothing though to do on this slide, just information. So we can click next, and this is where the problem begins. Our first step is to create a table to identify how much your total cost will be based on the hours rented. And we have a little reminder here of what our linear equation is, and that x represents hours and y represents total cost. If you've never used Kayak before, notice that within our table, there are green boxes. These green boxes are all places where an answer needs to be entered. Another cool thing about Kayak is there is a slide bar here. So even though you need to type your final answers in, you can scroll and have a decent amount of whiteboard space to work with. As you can see here, I've been in this Kayak before. I'm going to erase that. But another beautiful thing is if you leave the Kayak, when you re-enter, as long as you type your name in exactly the same, it will continue and save any work that you have previously done. All right, let's look at our table here and see what exactly we need to do to fill it in. Well, I see that x represents hours. We have a column for our linear equation, y for total cost, and then to write our answer as an ordered pair. Start at the very beginning. For our very first row here, we see that x is representing 1. Well, x is hours, that means 1 hour. So we want to find out how much it's going to cost if we rent the kayak for 1 single hour. We can do that by working in our second set here, using substitution, because we know that x is 1. We can substitute 1 in for x and solve to find the matching y. Whenever you see a green box, you don't want to write and use the pen tool. Instead, you want to click over to the select, click on it, and type your answer in. This will ensure that your teacher can see whether it's right or wrong and will make for a quicker grade, which I know you guys want because you always are anxious to see what you got and you want to see it in the grade book. So this will help make sure you click in any green box you see and type your answer in. Oh, our x is 1. Now we can simplify, use the order of operations, solve for y. I think I can do this one in my head. I want to start with multiplication. $5.25 times 1, $5.25, plus that initial $10 fee brings us to a total cost of $15.25. In the very last column, we're going to write our answer as an ordered pair. Our x value is 1, so for 1 hour rental, Our Y, our cost, is $15.25. Let's move on to the next one. What about if you decide to rent it for 2 hours? Well, X represents hours. We substitute 2 in for X and solve. This one I'm not too good at doing in my head, so I will switch to that pen tool, scroll down a little bit, and use all this blank space to show my work. So $5.25 times 2. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. When I look at my decimal point placement, my first number has 2 digits following the decimal. My second number has 0, which means I need to have 2 numbers following my decimal point in my answer. All right, $10.50. Make sure that you keep going because look, we have our entire equation. We just did the first step, we multiplied. Now we need to add the $10 to that. Well, $10 plus $10.50, $20.50. Switch on over to cursor mode, click in the box, $20.50. Let's represent that as an ordered pair. So X is 2 hours, Y is a cost of $20.50. For our third one here, I'll just go ahead and quickly fill it in. Substitute 3 for Y. When we solve that, so multiply and add, we get $25.75. Oops. Do make sure you don't accidentally do a typo like I just did, and make sure every single green box is filled. All right, I completed all the steps on this slide. Let's move on. Step 2, go to this link and create a graph. First, plot all of the ordered pairs from your table of values, so on our previous slide. Second, graph the original linear equation. Then when your graph is finished, click to share the graph, copy and paste the link here. Okay? So you just have to click on this link right here and it will open up Desmos in a new tab. That is another free site that allows you to do some graphing. Well, if my first step is to plot all the ordered pairs, I'm going to go ahead and look at my previous slide and toggle back and forth between the 2 tabs. Here we have all of our ordered pairs. So our first ordered pair is 1 and then $15.25. When you come over to Desmos, on the left is where you can type in whatever you want to graph. When you type in an ordered pair, you do need to type it in exactly like an ordered pair. So first off, click in the 1, parentheses, 1 comma, space, 15.25 was it? Yep, 15.25. Close your parentheses. Let's go ahead and label it. I always like to do that. To graph your second point, you can either hit enter or just click in the space down below, and now we can put something else in. Notice that it may not look like it graphed it. Well, that's because I'm zoomed in. Look at my values here. I go 10 on the X, but only up to 6 on the Y. On the right here, we can zoom on out. Looky there, there's our point. Second point, 2 and then 2050. Parentheses, 2 comma 2050. Close parentheses and let's label it. Third one, 3.25.75. Click in the 3, parentheses, 3.25.75. Close parentheses and label. All right, sweet. I have done the first step. Let's go back to slide 4. I plotted all of my ordered pairs. Secondly, I need to graph the original linear equation. I can also get that information from either the previous slide or that very first problem slide. So right here is our original linear equation. Y equals $5.25 X plus 10. Once again, in order for it to graph properly, we need to type it in exactly. Click in the 4, Y equals 525x plus 10. Zoom out just a little bit more. You can also click here and drag it around. Looky there. We have our graphed line and our 3 points. Nice. So I have completed the 2 projects. Now I am ready to share my graph because I obviously need to look at it and grade it. There are directions right on this slide on how to share it, so you wouldn't have to rewatch the video if you've forgotten. But let me go ahead and show you. So right here near where my picture is, it says login, sign up, and then that 3rd button is the share. There's more than one way you can share it. What I want you to do is to just copy the link. You don't need to print it or anything like that. Just copy the link that it gives you. When we go back to Class Kick, pay attention carefully. Notice that in one of our tools, we have this little hyperlink button. Click on that. You can just title it My Graph or whatever you want, as long as it's appropriate. And then put the link in, save, and look, it pops right up here on the top. You can click on it and drag it so I can view your graph. Let's say that doesn't work for you. If this hyperlink tool doesn't work for you, you can always just click on the text box tool and paste Control V. Control V is paste your link in, okay? I would prefer the hyperlink because that makes it, again, a little bit faster to grade. You can get your results sooner. But if it doesn't work, something's better than nothing. All right, I'm going to leave my graph open, but it looks like we're all set here. Step 3, using the information given and the table and graph created, answer the following questions. Identify the y-intercept and what it represents. Identify the slope and what it represents. We can get this information either from the graph we created, we can figure it out from the table we made, or we can look at the equation and identify it. Whichever way you're most comfortable, you can figure out both pieces of information from all 3 forms: equation, table, and graph. Let's go in just and look at the graph because I have it up. If we want to find our y-intercept, well, I see that it's somewhere around there. Let's go ahead and zoom in a bit. Drag it over to recenter. You can even close out of this to give you more room. And right here is the y-intercept. One of my favorite parts about this website is if you click on it and hover, then it pulls up with a gray point and it shows you that exact location. So if you wanted to pick, this point on the graph, it even shows you to the thousandths decimal point. But we, of course, want that exact point. We want that y-intercept of 0, 10. There's no green boxes here because there's multiple answers. We just need to use that text box tool to type our answer in. So click Add Text Box. We'll draw one underneath number 1. So our y-intercept is the point 0, 10. And we want to identify what it represents. If you don't remember, you can always, click back and reference those beginning slides where it set up the problem. But I do happen to remember because we're talking about kayaks and that Y value represented your total cost. So a couple different ways I could represent my answer is I know my total cost is $10 and well, X represents the hours. So at 0 hours, it costs $10 to rent. Another way of saying that is that's your initial fee. That is like your flat rate. So you have a flat rate, or you could say an initial fee of $10. There is more than one way that you can explain your answer. Now, secondly, we want to identify the slope and what it represents. Well, I could find the slope from the graph, but I'm going to work smarter, not harder, and look at my equation. I will look at the equation on this just because I'd rather flip tabs than go back slides. Our equation was y equals 525x plus 10. Well, it's in slope-intercept form, which means our m, our slope, is $5.25. Once again, click text box, draw it underneath number 2. So our slope is $5.25. If we wanted to represent that as a fraction, we could, and be over 1. Now, when I think about slope, it's our change in y over our change in x, meaning that our rate of change is y is the cost, x is the hours. So it costs $5.25 for every hour the kayak is rented. There we go, simple as that. One more slide left. Step 4, this graph represents the total cost for a different kayak rental company, Shining Waters. Compare the slopes and determine which company is the better deal. If we look at our information here, here is the kayak company we've been dealing with this whole time, Valley Springs. We have our equation. To the right here, we have a graph for Shining Waters. Well, I am told to compare the slopes, so essentially our rate of change, that rate, how much it's going to cost per hour, to see which is the better deal. We just talked about this for Valley Springs. We know that our slope, our rate of change, is $5.25. But for Shining Waters, we are going to need to look at our graph and find the slope. Let's change colors for Shining Waters. All right, our slope is our change in y over our change in x. Our 2 points are labeled for us. Our change in y is 40, so it increased $40. And then our change in x, wait, that doesn't increase 40. I made a mistake. It increases 10, 20, 30. Shame on me. You always want to double check your work. So that increased by 30. See, I go from 10 to 20. So 10, 20, 30. Got a little sidetracked there. Our change in x, so the hours, is 10. 10 hours. Let's simplify our fraction, because if we're comparing slopes, we want to make sure they're both represented as a unit rate, so per 1 hour, because that will guarantee that we're comparing similar fees. So $30 for 10 hours, simplify that fraction, I get $3 an hour. All right, my work is shown. I'm going to scroll down a bit and type my answer in, because we want to say which one's the better deal. Well, in this case, Shining Waters is the better deal. Several ways that you could explain it. You could simply just say, because it is $3 per hour and Valley Springs is $5.25 per hour. You could say how much cheaper it is, however in depth you want to go, but just make sure you explain why you're choosing the one you're choosing. So we have our work, our proof there. Now we have summarized. We are at the very end, so we are good to go. And once you leave the screen, everything is saved. Your teacher will be able to see it, and they can enter your grade after everything's been scored. All right, I hope this helps. Now it's your turn. Go ahead and go into your class Kick and complete your linear equation project. See ya.